Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Yasodhanandana Vraja Jana Jana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Astotara Satyashi Shrimad Savana Grace, Founder of Iskana Bhaicharananda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Nantra Granthara Shrimadbhagavatam Ki. By their most merciful worshipful Lordship, Shri Radhakanja Bihari Ki. Shri Jagannath Shri Baladeva Subhadra Ki. Shri Nathaji Shri Balagopal Ki. Shri Gonitai Ki. Nitai Go Prem. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. We're reading from text 32. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Totayam Tirayet Nastapraishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki. Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 32. The chapter is entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti. Kechid Ahur Ajam Jatam Kechid Ahur Ajam Jatam Punya Slokasya Kirtaye Punya Slokasya Kirtaye Yadho Priyasyan Bhavaye Yadho Priyasyan Bhavaye Maya Seva Chandanam Maya Seva Chandanam Kechidor Jam Jatam Punya Slokasya Kirtaye Yado Priyasyan Bhavaye Maya Seva Chandanam Kechidahur Jam Jatam Punya Slokasya Kirtaye Yado Priyasyan Bhavaye Malaye Vachandanam. Please chant.
Kechidahur Ajam Jatam
Kechidahur Jam Jatam
Punya Slokasya Kirtaye
Punya Slokasya Kirtaye
Yado Priyasyan Vayave
Yado Priyasyan Bhavaye
Malaya Sivya Chandanam
Malaya Seva Chandanam. Anyone else? Kechidahur Ajam Jatam
Punya Slokasya Kirtaye
Punya Slokasya Kirtaye
Yado Priyasyan Bhavaye
Yado Priyasyan Bhavaye
Malaya Seva Chandanam
Malaya Seva Chandanam Kechidahur Ajam Jatam Punya Slokasya Kirtaye Yado Priyasyan Bhavaye Malaya Seva Chandanam. Kechid, someone. Ahu says, Ajam, unborn. Jatam, being born. Punya Slokasya, of the great pious king. Kirtaye, for glorifying. Yado, of king. Yadu, of King Yadu. Priyasya, of the deer. Anbabaye, in the family of. Malayasya, Malaya Hill. Jai Shri Radha Kanya Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev Murti, Jai Shri Govinda. Eva, as Chandanam, sandalwood. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace by Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills. Please repeat. Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings. And others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills. Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills. Purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Because the Lord's appearance in this material world is bewildering, there are different opinions about the birth of the unborn. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he takes his birth in the material world, although he is the Lord of all creations and he is unborn. So there cannot be any denial of the birth of the unborn, because he himself establishes the truth. But still, there are different opinions as to why he takes his birth. That is also declared in the Bhagavad Gita. He appears by his own internal potency to reestablish the principles of religion and to protect the pious and to annihilate the impious. That is the mission of the appearance of the unborn. Still, it is said that the Lord is there to glorify the pious king Yudhisthira. Lord Sri Krishna certainly wanted to establish the kingdom of the Pandavas for the good of all in the world. When there is a pious king ruling over the world, the people are happy. When the ruler is impious, the people are unhappy. In the age of Kali, in most cases, the rulers are impious, and therefore the citizens are also continuously unhappy. But in the case of democracy, the impious citizens themselves elect their representative to rule over them. I'm going to read that again. Start from in the age of Kali, in most cases, the rulers are impious, and therefore the citizens are also continuously unhappy. But in the case of democracy, the impious citizens themselves elect their representative to rule over them, and therefore they cannot blame anyone for their unhappiness. Maharaj Nala was also celebrated as a great pious king, but he had no connection with Lord Krishna. Therefore Maharaj Yudhisthira is meant here to be glorified by Lord Krishna. The Lord had already glorified King Yadu, having taken birth in his family, although he is known as Yadava, Yaduvira, Yadunandana, etc. He is also independent of such obligation. He's just like the sandalwood that grows in the Malaya hills. Trees can grow anywhere and everywhere, yet because the sandalwood trees grows mostly in the area of the Malaya hills, the name sandalwood and the Malaya hills are interrelated. Therefore, the conclusion is that the Lord is ever unborn like the sun, and yet he appears as the sun rises on the eastern horizon. As the sun is never the sun of the eastern horizon, so the Lord is no one's son, but he's the Father of everything that is, that be. Om Jnanatimarandasya Gyananjana Chalakaya Chakshusandritamena Tasmai Shri Gurave. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. Due to the kindness of the spiritual master, he has shed light upon the path. And this Bhagavatam is that light. There we used to close these doors. He's closing the doors. If children are rewarded when they cry, which is the immediate response a parent normally has, the child learns by behavioral perception of his mind that he gets what he wants when he's crying. So he cries a lot. Prayers like that too. I had heard the saying applied to spiritual realization. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. So the more we call out to Krishna, asking him to help us, we're acting like the squeaky wheel. Krishna, please, I need your help. But here, there is something being stated here about God glorifying the king. See, it almost seems like it would be the opposite way around. But the statement has it that Krishna takes pleasure in the glorification of his devotee more than he takes pleasure in his own. But here's another thing about this, because this is an authorization, this is it's an edification, a confirmation from the perspective of Krishna that he's giving his okay, so to speak. He's saying, even though I am the Supreme Person, I am authorizing this person to be in this position. And that's how there's a difference between somebody putting a box out on the corner and the post office box. One is authorized and one is a box there. So there's a statement being made here about a previous king that he followed the injunctions, but he didn't have the authorization of Krishna. So this is happening now. People are trying to be governed by their own understanding of what governance is. And so there are not enough leaders in the world for the guidance of the entire planet to be governed properly the way this is bringing out. That the world is meant to be governed by one form of government. He's bringing that out. That's the meaning of the emperor. But there can be no such person in that position unless they are qualified. And now the fight there is creating a quote-unquote United Nations, which are about as united as the United States are, which are very divided. We have so many sects. Every year it seems like there's another different sect propping up in order to make a statement to society about the ills of society and the dissatisfaction that people are having within the society for maybe one particular reason. But there are just as many reasons to be happy as there are to be upset and to be dissatisfied or to be diseased. Disease is not being at ease with the way things are. And that's where a body is, so we call it disease, when in fact it doesn't get what it needs. So right now, if we look at the world as a whole, because it's not being governed by one, it's not getting what it needs. So the world as a whole, the consciousness that would be experienced by the members of the population of the world as a whole, when governed by proper governance, would not be dissatisfaction, this is pointing out, would not be unhappy. And we see in the examples given by the cities established by Krishna and Lord Brahma and the Pandavas, that there is satisfaction and happiness experienced by the citizens. And why there's no crime? There's no crime. Everybody is experiencing such an experience of satisfaction and happiness. Every breath is an experience of God's presence because the air is filled with that which God has given to this planet to be for His glorification. We need to recognize what He is recognizing, the need for the king to be authorized. Krishna is giving this by the words of his own mouth. We can accredit Sukadeva Goswami's words as good as Krishna's own words. And this is why Krishna accredits his pleasure as being that which he takes in his devotee. Because when he hears his devotee speaking those things which he has given to be spoken, it brings him pleasure. You imagine 5,000 years ago, he spoke these words on a battlefield, and today people are speaking the same very words he spoke. And so it will bring him pleasure. So we can immerse ourselves in these thoughts and the consciousness it brings us all day long. Every day, this is what Srila Prabhupada is bringing to the Western world, is a way of life. Not just a philosophy to sit on as like he said, we're not an armchair philosophy. Sit around trying to debate to figure out we're right from wrong. This is what Congress is doing right now. And it looks as though this is what they have been established to do, to figure out by arguing and debate, which is evidence that there's no absolute truth, which is evidence there is no authorization by Krishna. And that's why there's so much confusion. That's why there's so much unrest. That's why there's so many people unhappy. And it is when the emperor of the world, when there is a person on the planet that is qualified to take that emperorship, to give liberation by the words of his mouth. Krishna is giving liberation to those. He revealed who he was. There's such a beautiful presentation when I first came here of what Krishna did to Krishna, Devaki, and I keep getting them mixed up. Nanda and Yasoda and Vasudeva and Devaki. Vasudeva Nanda. If I remember Krishna as Vasudeva Nanda. So what he revealed to them when they were in the prison house. So he broke all barriers of custom, you could say, of religious custom, that normally you don't consider the people you want to take birth amongst as those that are in a prison house, would you? That's somebody. Yeah, if I'm going to have a choice of who I'm going to take birth amongst, let's go find somebody in the prison. But that's what Krishna did, because Vasudeva was innocent. They were innocent, but he was holding them because Krishna was coming. And he knew that Vasudeva's son would be the one to kill him. And so he tied them up to ensure, and by the promise that they made to him, they would give him the children and let them see. But this was all as a result of previous incarnations each and every one of these children had in relationship to Krishna, in relationship to Vasudeva. So this wasn't by accident. And there is no such thing as accident. See here, and this is what the whole world is under the misconception of. And this is all obvious evidence that the whole world is not being governed properly by leaders who are themselves not self-realized. They're not in a position of authority by authorization of the Supreme Personality of God. They are there by their own doing, following the laws of society that has been set up by previous generations who were themselves not self-realized. This is why Srila Prabhupada came to bring self-realization. Why? Because we already had it? No. Because this is a very need of society. And it is itself also the fact that society is not satisfied because it is not self-realized. It's not self-satisfying. Because we don't know who we are, we don't know what we are, we don't know our eternal relationship. That is the only actual position of our place in this universe that will make us come to that place of true everlasting satisfaction. And that's what we're all longing for. We want to know what our place is. These kids spent, what was it, just heard about a murder just yesterday took place. This kid couldn't figure out what he wanted to do, went to college, got straight A's, 1B, and felt like he had committed an evil sin or something. And yet, went out and committed an act of murder against these people. The end result of society's so-called goodness is not really goodness. It's not producing the educational systems that are supposed to be bringing us to the highest state of consciousness are leaving out the most important basics. What the self is the beginning of knowledge. And they're not being brought to that. And without that, no matter what we build, it's sand, foundation, it will fall. So it has to be based on truth. And it has to be authorized by Krishna. So if Krishna is not in our courtrooms, then innocent people will be condemned to prison, and people that should be put behind bars will be running free to commit their acts in society. And this is what's going on. And this is also why nobody's happy. And people are afraid to go out at night in some cities. And now more probably cities than ever. People don't find themselves comfortable going out. Now, when I was a little boy, for a quarter, you could go from Dearborn Heights, which is about maybe 10, 15 miles, to Detroit. You go out there in the evening after dinner, take a bus, and the whole city was full, bustling of people as if it was the middle of the day. And nobody afraid. It surprised me the other day. I had a flat tire on my motorcycle, way out on 14 miles, Ryan Road. So, had to leave it there. And I didn't know 3 days later when I went to finally get a chance to go back and look at it, that the keys were in it.
And it sat there.
But what surprised me was that it was still there when I went there. But this used to be commonplace in most cities when I was a boy, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, like that. And as I was sharing before as well, morality was more commonplace. Yeah. So if a child committed what was believed to be a societal moral no-no, then it would be appreciated by all the rest of the parents, any other parent. Correct the child, and then bring the child to the parent. Maybe in a marketplace, the child might be disturbing things on the shelf. And so child gets corrected, no, where's your parent? And then you go take them to. But today, the first question would be in the mind of, is he looking to kidnap my child?
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's the way it is in the story. Or else, you get a child born with such a false ego, and the parent can't correct them in public like they normally would be allowed to in normal society. So the child is yelling and screaming because it wants everything on the shelf is made to attract everybody's eyes. And if an adult can't resist the temptation, the attraction, how we expect children? So the child screams because he can't have what he wants. What is there in the child that thinks it should be restricted from its own free will? Isn't it? So children have to be corrected from their free will in order to learn what is authorized activity. So when society is established by authorized leaders, then the citizens are taking part in authorized activities, and the whole of society becomes one uniform functioning body that all feels apart with one another, like family's supposed to make us feel with one another. We don't treat neighbors like we treat our brother, but a lot of sacred teachings are telling us that we should. Because it's the only way love is going to be experienced in totality by society. Love shouldn't be something we have to come home to greet our immediate family to experience, right? Because if everybody in society is developing the qualities of love in their life, then anybody we go out to meet and greet and take part with in society should have that same sharing experience of love. Isn't it? So, if love means that I care about you, and in fact I would be willing to risk my life for your benefit. I've reached a life now at a stage where I can say that most people on the planet have longer to go than I already have accomplished. So, in effect, my giving up is not giving up as much for their benefit. So my life doesn't become, in that way, as much a sacrifice. They say I might have another 25 years to go, but we're reading in Bhagavatam, devotees of Krishna, they have access to the whole universe, come and go to any planet they want to, have full knowledge of being able to communicate with the language they have. All these are little tiny tastes of what is being given to spiritual sects and groups here and there. The gift of tongues. What happened a long time ago, this concept of animal sacrifice needing to be done away with by a person who was making that statement, being looked at as someone who was upsetting the boxcar, so to speak. He's upsetting the boat, he's making waves. So the societal pressures were that such waves should be made peacefully. So we kill them, right? So this killing mentality is there in the eating process that people are all thinking still is, even after there has been so many people now, millions of people, proving that vegetarianism can in fact be even a more healthy way of life, because you will find amongst vegetarians less cases of forms of carcinogens. But see, we're getting carcinogens even in plastic bottles now. There's plastic microfibers that enter into the liquids that are contained by the plastic bottles. Which can't be seen even by the human eye. I think I got plastic all over my body, probably. I just swallowed a piece of gum. It's not going to kill me. But, see, we're producing things in society as well that are not functioning 100% either. And with the admittance of most productions of machinery and all these things are engineered specifically to wear out. You know that? They are specifically, this is what the purpose of an engineer is. To get every ounce they can.
Planned obsolescence.
Planned obsolescence. Yes, it is. They actually, in their families, in their factories, they have test spaces of a machine that will take and open and close the door to find out how many times it can go before it falls off its hinges. That thing goes, maybe 100,000 times a day or so. I don't know how many times it opens and closes. They gear and engineer the thing to use as few materials, as little materials as possible. Now, it used to be when you walked into a store, first thing was the people wanted you to know that you were their customer, and if it was, a free bowl of ice cream, you could buy $50 worth, or, you get $5 off next week, or, this thing or that. It was like, customer's always right was one idea. And then the customer was always treated well because they were there to give you a purpose for being there yourself. Because without the customer, the business has no function, right? And so without losing it in society, that has been lost. So now you go into a store and they're doing you a favor for being your service attendant, you might say. But they have a job because you're taking money out of your pocket, which is the energy of Krishna. The energy we use to produce what we're calling money. Krishna says on the battlefield to Arjuna, it's not yours. He tells him that. Don't think of any of the result of this as being your own. So we're supposed to be, according to Krishna's instructions, looking the same way at our own lives. And that is the only way we're going to get liberation from the control the material energy has had upon us to be able to hook us into the material energy in such a way that we feel indebted to it by societal responsibility. Krishna says put all that aside. All that aside. Even religion. He says put all these other forms of religions aside and just surrender to me. That's what he says. Just surrender to him. So what we have to do when we read that, well, what does that mean? Surrendering to Krishna. And then as much as we are finding the ability, Krishna is the ability in us. And so finding ability, we are finding Krishna. And Krishna is revealing to us most beautiful requests. By a devotee sitting here today, I was asked, Prabhu, I want to know all the laws about everything. I want to know everything about it. But that's what we're all here for. We're all here to learn every day, because every day there's something more to learn about how to apply these principles to our lives. And because this process is of an eternal nature, and we haven't been connected to it for so long, we have to realize we got to catch up. We got a lot of catching up to do. We've been away from home for a long time. And what will bring us there? That there's this singing and dancing. And we could be enjoying this experience and the pleasure, not with the outlook of enjoying it for ourselves, but by going out and doing it in response of Krishna's request in the form of Lord Chaitanya to do that. Harinama. Harinama, 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 because he says there's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. And as much as we put the effort into trying to do this, whatever way that may be, if it means giving him a brochure, if it means asking him to come to the Sunday feast, if it means cooking a little more this afternoon and inviting somebody to lunch, it means coming to the temple and inviting people to come to the temple. Whatever form that may be, if it means going when you're at the store buying something to offer to Krishna when you get to the temple. That's seva, because Krishna in this age is opening up opportunities so much so that in previous ages, because of the families we were born into, we wouldn't even have access to be able to make offerings to Krishna. And so now that it's made free to us, we take it for granted to a great extent. I'm speaking for myself, of course. But I see the same reflection on all of us. And of course, we're all supposed to be looking out for number one. Don't step in number two. And so there's a lot of number two out there. In English language, number two we call fool. So people are speaking that which has the value of stool. And they're leading the general public with that nonsense. And making heroes. So if we make Krishna our hero, then Krishna's heroes will also become our heroes. Narad Muni, Lord Brahma, he has appointed these people to be in those positions. And even though we may not think of it in this way, he has appointed each and every one of us to be in the place we're in now, to be able to have access to this, that he, Krishna himself, is opening up what is the most dear to him, to every human being on the planet that wants to take and gain access to it. This is what Krishna consciousness is in this age, available to all humanity. And beyond humanity, every living creature now that you come in contact with, while you are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare, you are having a positive effect upon. If you step on a bug in the temple and you're chanting Hare Krishna, that bug is going to get positive effect for them. Even to the extent, in some circumstances, they become human beings much more rapidly than they would otherwise, because they're stuck in a circle just like human beings are, and we were in that same circle as that bug. We were in that form. According to the Vedas, we've been in every form of life there is to reach this highest form we call human. But if this is so, then we have to realize we have to be taught what human is. If we don't remember ever having taken birth in life to be trained up what it means to be a human being. And there are no classes. And there are no people qualified to train what is human being. That's what is being revealed here. What is human being? A citizen of a society governed by realized souls. And until we live in that society, we're not going to be complete human beings either. We're all suffering as a whole. Because we are a whole, that part of us that is not completely realized or brought to that eternal servitude position with Krishna, to know and realize this position, is causing disturbance in the rest. Because until the machine's completely put together, it's not completely functioning. So we have criminals. Some of these criminals are rejecting what they see in society to be wrongs. And if we don't have within society the proper judgments to be able to know right from wrong ourselves, and we have to argue about it and debate about it, one year this guy is punishable by death, next year, no, you can't punish him by death. One year you throw him in jail for smoking a joint, and next year it's legal for everybody. These laws, when they change, it constantly puts in people's minds that there is no absolute truth. They don't know absolute truth, and that's why nobody's happy. Because it doesn't set right in people's heart until absolute truth is established by realized souls, governed by, authorized by, the absolute truth in the body of the Supreme Person, whose subjects are brought to the understanding of the absolute truth through his teaching. And he's revealing that, check them all out, but if you're wise, he's saying, Arjuna, you will make the choice. I'm giving you, my opinion is, you just surrender everything else and forget everything else and just follow me. Just follow what Krishna says to do. And whatever form that may take in your life. Then, I was very, how can I say, fortunate to be able to come at a time in which I could fully take shelter. Gave up the house where I was living, gave up the schooling I was doing, gave up the job. And it wasn't give up though, because I saw something in this movement that I knew I couldn't get by continuing in that same cycle, in that same work mindset that I got to establish my own big kingdom here, and do this good thing, that good thing. Never knowing Krishna though. Never knowing Krishna. And all that stuff, as beneficial as it may look and aspire to be by society, without Krishna, then it's going to continue to be in that state of unhappiness. And that's why we're being given these scriptures, to be able to know from the suffering of others, to be able to avoid our own suffering. That's why these scriptures are given. That's why these guidelines are given, these laws of God are given, as guidelines for us to know the best way to use these human forms of life to protect also these bodies that we're using, so that they can last as long as they're meant to, and be used in the way they're meant to be used. In that way, we'll learn what human being is. Narada Pancharatri are established principles of Krishna consciousness for anyone who wants to take seriously associating with Krishna in a deity form. Because Narada Muni, I don't know of anyone who has better or closer association with Krishna other than Krishna's own incarnate, Balaram's brother himself, also is part of Krishna's consciousness. But Narada Muni is very close to Krishna, and so we take Narada Muni's teachings and exactly how to worship Krishna properly, how to bathe Krishna, how to dress Krishna, how to approach the temple, how to approach devotees. And these principles also are explained in our relationships in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the nectar of devotion and the nectar of instruction. All these books, as a regular daily, we're exposing ourselves daily to these things. Then we realize the principles help us realize that we're made up of a substance that truth includes. The substance we are includes truth. And now, as we study more and more about truth, we become more realized about how complete the truth is that we're made of. And when we have that connection with Super Soul, then, because Super Soul is unlimited, then to that extent that we've surrendered, we become unlimited also. Our abilities, and the abilities then go beyond the limitations we are putting upon what we now consider to be the abilities of these bodies, because relationship's going to go beyond this life. And that's what we're aiming for, the next life. And as we aim for the next life, the one in this one is going to be fulfilled greater than we could do it ourselves. Because those activities of the next beyond far exceed what we can conceive of. Just like we're trying to conceive of eternity. But our minds now in the present state are incapable of understanding the completeness of what that is. We have limitations even when we conceive of our own universe. And see, the ruler of this universe, Lord Indra, is the ruler of the heavenly planets. The ruler, Vivaswan, the sun god, he's the one Krishna gave the Bhagavad Gita to at that time. He was the ruler of the universe. And Brahma, well, see, Brahma's the ruler of the universe, isn't he? But the seat of Indra also is removed from the position Lord Brahma has. And these are all posts that are put in the universe by Krishna as forms of authority. Because we see each of them as occupying posts independently, but they're all occupying posts under one government. See, and we can't get one government and one planet, and there is one government governing the universe. See that? And when we have that consciousness, this is what Gayatri gives us. Universal consciousness. So we have to be reminded. We're reminding ourselves 3 times a day when we position ourselves towards the sun, reverently, with respect of who there is a throne, which is the 7 o'clock artik that we sing, which is a vision of Lord Brahma by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's seeing Lord Brahma worshiping Lord Chaitanya in the center of this universe, inside the sun. So that is the controlling position of the sun, quote unquote, God. He's a demigod. Societies that have worshipped that position in past have been wrongly misunderstood by other societies who think they're worshiping the sun. So they get deemed as irreligious, they get deemed as demons. You have spiritual practitioners calling other spiritual practitioners demons, and making enemies of each other who should be the greatest friends. Same things happening nationwide, worldwide. We have to have a self-realized leader who can bring it all together. And as we continue in our efforts to purify our own individual lives, Krishna will bring that about. It may not be for this generation yet, because it has to be a pure devotee. Most of us being born in Sudra families, I don't know that this is necessarily pertaining to the peak of the golden age. Because Krishna's intent with all this is to make qualified, spiritual, pure devotees. And they're not going to be producing demons. So this planet is going to be here and after having a spiritual revolution like never before. No, at least since the last golden age, which see, last Kali Yuga didn't even have a golden age like this. Krishna doesn't appear with Lord Chaitanya just following him that closely in a long, long time. We talk about ages and eons. And see, now even talking about these things are subject matters that never enter into normal human beings' minds. But they unlimit, they unlock our consciousness to the reality of the universe, the reality of our position in the universe, to the reality of the reverence we should have for everything that's coming out of God, the knowledge that's coming out of God, for everything in our lives that we've been given in full opportunity and privilege. I like to use that word privilege a lot, because a lot of what I see as privilege, it looks to me like a lot of people are calling their rights. Right. I have the right to speak whatever I want. We'll see how long that lasts. A person's life, you start speaking nonsense long enough, it will catch up to you. Nonsense can run faster than our minds even. Yeah, it can run pretty fast with the mind, but nonsense can catch up to us very easily. And most people are living in nonsense. They thrive off of nonsense. When they go to hear something to tickle their ears, they're going to listen to a comedian that's going to make jokes of everything that's supposed to be functioning properly in society, that we are all getting mixed up by. We make a big joke out of life, we make a big joke out of our jobs, we make a big joke out of our presidents, we make a big joke out of leaders, physicians and doctors. All these are jokes to be made of, isn't it? In society, it's what we laugh at. And yet these are the very positions we are looking towards fulfilling and being most important aspects of society to give us an experience of life that is meant to be so elevated as to bring us into a more authorized environment by God, the author. There's one author of everything. So we take credit for all of his energy that we are using, calling it ours, I, me, and mine, and it's all false ego. And we're going to continue through the day still acting under the auspices of our false egos. We're stuck here. It's like a prison house. We're stuck in. But we make the best of a bad bargain. And that's chanting Hare Krishna. And sing and dance. And be happy. Srila Prabhupada said, be happy. That's what we want to do, be happy. And this little bit of happiness that we're getting is nothing compared to what we are. That happiness that we are, the description is called bliss. Ecstasy bliss. Woo! I want to know what that is. I'd like to know what that is. And that can be known by serving Krishna eternally. And the more pure our hearts get towards wanting to do that, the more our realization of what that bliss is will be. Any comments, any questions, yes, Prabhu? Randy. Let's have you talk into here and try not to give a whole other class. Just a
this has to do with the word this is a ceremony.
What is it?
The principles could be found in the matrimony or ceremony. You were just saying the name of it?
Pancharatrik. Narada.
That might have been the word.
Which refers to Narada Muni.
Narada Muni.
A Muni is an elevated soul who has reached a state you could practically say liberated, because they are not, most of these munis in the universe are in the higher planetary systems that are engaged in a process of spiritual realization. And so they're special souls, but then there are heavenly planets then that are for different purposes as well. And see, in those realms, according to Bhagavatam, those living beings that are in those realms have access to the other realms. And they preach. Narad Muni goes everywhere in the universe. You can go anywhere.
So they got a book on specifically on Narad Muni?
Yeah. Narad Muni, the book on Narad Muni's wisdom on practices and etiquette, what you want, of the temple, is called Narada, N-A-R-A-D-A, Pancharatrik.
I'll get it from you.
Yeah.
I got it down. Thank you.
P-A-N-C-A-T-R-I-K. Yep. Pancharatrik. And then, what reveals the benefits of engaging in those activities, Hari Bhakti Vilas, by Sanatana Goswami, a very intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya himself. And he reveals those intimate details about these practices that we're engaging in, that sometimes we look at as ordinary activities. But Sanatana Goswami reveals how these very activities will be producing results above and beyond our greatest imagination. Yep, and it's revealed in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. If you want to read that, that's also translated now by devotees. They have authorized version, Hari Bhakti Vilas. Something to know. See, it's like a person is out on the street wanting to give to a beggar as a pious activity. And according to universal law, there's benefit for that, karma, good karma, right? But that same person goes out now and uses that money for a bad purpose. That's also karma. And if we contribute, good or bad, it is a cause for us to be rewarded or punished, which means we have to engage in material energy again. We are forcing, by the laws that are established, for us to have to take and incarnate into that which the material energy can produce its results on that, which we have been the cause of. The mind causes these bodies to be formed. It's explained also in Bhagavatam, how the mind and the bodies come into existence. So the only way to keep out from that is to engage in seva, bhakti, directed towards Lord Krishna in some way or another. And the biggest part of the day we can do that for, the better. The more of the day we can use towards reading, chanting, feeding others, singing, dancing, expressing glorification of Krishna, and just thanking, making other people happy about the very fact that we have this form of life right now. Every seed we can look at, we can see as a potential, and we've been in that form, so how thankful we should be that we now are manifesting these human forms. And that being the most opportune. What I'm realizing now, better than a little, what do they call it, mirth? Mirth is the laughing of jokes, right? Mm-hmm. Is the realization of the glory of reality, of the results of spiritual activity. Yeah. Then we can realize that every moment of every day will be just in awe of reverence, in awe and reverence of how glorious that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself come here for each and every single one of us, personally, because within this body, each and every single one of us are sharing this incarnation we have with the Supreme Person. God of God, there is no other more supreme than that being who is sharing these bodies with us, who wants to share His consciousness with us. And give us the experience of that all-satisfying happiness, which is being revealed here as that can be experienced. Yeah. Any comments, any questions? Yes, Joe? Yeah.
Thank you for this wonderful
Yes.
very grateful. Please accept my humble obeisances. And you mentioned
We don't get the sound unless you're speaking almost right into the speaker.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my question is, you did mention that at one point of your life, there was this turning point
Yeah.
where like you moved out of your existing setup
Sure.
and you focused
Yeah.
full-fledgedly into Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
So my question is, if you can share, what was the turning point?
That turning point, yeah. And see, that's what I've been begging. The same environmental set of circumstances that were here when I did come are not here now. Because the tour I was given, which is every Sunday, it was like mandatory. It was going on every single Sunday when I got here and after, until I left in 92. We may have stopped it a little bit before that. But with the tour, you got an introduction to Krishna consciousness, which was on a very high professional level. And the introduction that was given was geared in such a way that I don't think anybody of any religious background could do anything but appreciate what was being presented by this that Srila Prabhupada was giving to the world. And then the realization of what was brought on that stage, you have Vasudeva and Devaki in a prison house, and Krishna appearing to them, just like we're reading about here, right? And revealing to them that he was God. And this whole story being given, you know what Krishna says about that? Anyone who remembers the transcendental nature of my birth and death, that got him. They will come back to Krishna, he says. So this is how significant that presentation that was being made at that time. And then you walk from there down into that dark place with and then you see the light comes on, and then there's Vasudeva carrying Krishna. The lights come on, and this explanation of what is happening with Vasudeva carrying Krishna against what had made a darkness had come across. The guards, the locks unlocked. The whole story is told, and then Vasudeva is carrying Krishna through that. The prisoners, their bounds were undone, and then he went and deposited Vasudeva into Yasoda, and they're dwelling there, and that's all explained. And then the next room you walk into, there's Krishna with the gopas, with the cows, and then a little bit beyond that are the gopis singing, and you got the moon coming up, and you get the monkeys in the tree, you get the water flowing there, and here are the gopis playing and singing this beautiful music. And here you've been told, I was told, all the points up until that time that God is ancient ruler on a throne.
Yeah.
That is a judger of all living beings.
Mm-hmm. One chance.
And now, I'm being told he's in an eternally youthful form. Wow, that made so much sense. Mm-hmm. I remember being the child that believed it was going to be forever. I remember playing through the fields, playing on my sled, playing roller skating, ice skating, playing baseball, playing. These are all things in the child's mind that are going to last forever. Why? Because it's a natural state of the soul. The soul goes through this purification process. It's immediately brought into a world where the parent immediately brings its false ego into manifest, even though it has these latent remembrances of who it is, what it is. It just got out of brain. It is described in Bhagavatam. The soul is put into such a condition of suffering within the mother's womb. It's crying to God, please get me out of here. Please get me out of here. And then immediately gets out. The parents persuaded away from that altogether. Teaching it false ego, how to develop the false ego. And both of them, mother and father, engage in acts and thoughts of the false ego to satisfy their own false egos by the engagement they're engaged in, never thinking about the child. Never thinking about the qualities of the mother to be for some fulfillment of the need for the world to see the glorious manifestation of the sons and daughters of God. But thinking rather how this beautiful vision is for my pleasure, to satisfy my body. This is a false ego. And this is how the false ego gets born into the child. By choosing the seed that has the same consciousness the father is bringing out with his relationship with his wife. And then the mother further nurtures that she loves in her husband that he is revealing like that. So this is how, when future generations understand what Krishna says, I am that sex life in marriage. When they understand the science of what that means, then by knowledge, these who are waiting to take birth from the spiritual world, from the heavenly planets, they will come here. Now they're coming here, but they're being born all over the world and not being born into Vaishnava families. They're being called indigo children in some cases. I have to say at least some cases, but possibly all of these cases, because these children are born with qualities of demigods. They're all sensitive to the same psychological experiences they're having together at the same time. They're all sad at the same time. They're all happy at the same time. They're all musically inclined. When they go to school, they know what the teacher's going to write on the board before they write it. This is demigod mentality. And they're coming here because they know Lord Chaitanya just came 500 of their days ago. And they want to take birth here. And they are going to be what will bring heavenly consciousness to this planet, that will transform this planet to make it the fulfillment of all the sacred prophecies of ancient times that have been wiped out by civilizations who are supposed to be working together. Because one civilization thinks itself superior to the other, it wipes out the histories and origins of the other civilization, and then we all divide ourselves against each other rather than bringing ourselves together. Like we're supposed to be one body, one faith, one God. And that's when we are one people, we will have extreme bliss, ecstasy, happiness. Our celebrations and festivals will be justified. There will be reason to be happiness. Because we know Krishna's come to this very planet himself. And how many times he's revealed he's done that, and why he's revealed he's done that. For our benefit. For our benefit. As well as for his own pleasure, of course. But in taking part in those activities that satisfy him the most, we derive the most benefit and pleasure, even by just discussion of these things. I'm sorry I went over so far. Today, 20 minutes old. Might be going into memory that they won't be able to carry over to the next video.
Thank you so much.
Any questions, comments? Said it all. Jai Grantara Shrimadbhagavatam. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai. parampara